It's a great day to be creative. Hi, I'm Laurie Fagen, and welcome to the premiere episode of AZ Creates, a web series about the very many, very creative people in the great state of Arizona. On today's show, our creative connection features a dancer and choreographer working both in Phoenix and in Prescott. In our What Are You Reading feature is an inspirational book very appropriate for the times we're currently living in. We'll tell you about some upcoming events in Something to Look Forward to, from a Broadway quarantine show to an improv group to an online fine art auction and much more. And we'll promote a very deserving nonprofit. But first, I wanted to share a little bit about why we're doing this show. My background is as a journalist and a broadcaster in radio, television, video productions, and coming around to print. Most recently, I published a community newspaper with my late husband, Jeff Hancock, until his death from cancer in 2013. We sold the paper, and I have been writing crime fiction novels and doing fiber art and making jewelry ever since out of polymer clay. But writing about crime and death has been challenging during this pandemic, and I wanted to do something a little more positive, a little more inspiring, and to bring beauty to people during this crazy time. I also wanted to help connect artists with patrons, all of whom are suffering during these stay-at-home times. What we didn't expect were the companies and nonprofits and artists and our neighbors who are coming up with some very creative and positive things to do for their communities. So we'll share their stories too. Now, the original concept was a podcast about artists, but with such a visual medium, it quickly turned to a video project. And with my co-host, Cathy Beard, and my editor's son, Devin Hancock, it's now a web series accessible on YouTube to literally anyone around the world. So we will always have a creative connection segment to introduce you to an artistic person, whether it's in the visual arts, theater, film, television, dance, music, anything creative. We'll also talk to an Arizona author and have them read a little from their book. And we'll have an upcoming events section called Something to Look Forward to. We'll highlight a nonprofit with a public service announcement, and we'll close with a thought or quote of the day. Now, to keep this free to you, we are looking for sponsors with some help for some of the costs. Our email is below. Our very reasonable introductory rates are on our Facebook page at ArtOnlineAZ, or you can email us at AZCreates.ArtOnlineAZ@gmail.com, and we'll send them to you. Please subscribe to this AZ Creates YouTube channel and click the bell if you want to be notified for when new shows are produced. Let us know how we did, if you would, in the comments below as well. You can get additional information and more art details on our Instagram and Facebook pages on ArtOnlineAZ. And please tell your friends about the show. Now, on with AZ Creates. AZ Creates is sponsored by Sibley's West, the Chandler and Arizona gift shop in historic downtown Chandler. A strong supporter of Arizona creatives, Sibley's West features work from more than 200 artists specializing in Arizona items and souvenirs, including art, pottery, food, jewelry, and much more. Now open at 72 South San Marcos Place in Chandler, online shopping is also available with convenient and safe curbside pickup. Visit www.sibleyswest.com for details. Welcome back to AZ Creates. I'm very happy to introduce you to a longtime dancer and choreographer who's done work both in Phoenix and in Prescott. She owned a dance studio here in the Valley for more than 30 years, and she's now taking her talents to the Prescott Center for the Arts. AZ Creates welcomes Pam Cannedy. How are you today, Pam?
Thank you, Laurie, for having me. This is very exciting.
And you are coming to us from Prescott and from the main stage of the Prescott Center for the Arts, or PCA. We'll talk more about that in just a minute, and we'll find out how you and the theater have been doing during the pandemic. But first of all, I want to go back just a few years and find out how and when you got into dance.
Well, I started at the age of 3 when my folks started giving me dancing lessons. They were very supportive of the arts, and we always had music in our home, especially from musicals. And by the time I got to high school, I started choreographing shows and took that all the way through college and then into dinner theaters and through the Midwest.
Now, I know you started off doing musical theater in your hometown of Topeka, Kansas. What brought you to Arizona?
I came to Arizona mainly because I was visiting my folks they were always down here in the wintertime, and I had friends that had moved down here. So actually I came down for the warm weather and enjoyed it so much. I just knew one day I was going to live down here.
So Pam, tell us about some of the shows that you danced in and choreographed here in Phoenix.
Started out with Pippin, which was one of my favorite shows that I had just come off of choreographing from the Midwest in a dinner theater. And from there, Dames at Sea, which of course you were in, and Chicago, and Jerry's Girls, My One and Only. And it just went on from there. And I started actually teaching dance classes at 3rd Street Theater for the city of Phoenix. And that's just built up a real big dance clientele as well.
And you also met your husband through dance, right? Tell us about that.
Yes, he auditioned for a show I was choreographing at Scottsdale Center for the Arts, and it was Hello Dolly. And it was a production company called National Theater for the Performing Arts that came in to the Valley at that time, in the mid-'80s. And he was a great dancer, and I just hired him to be the male dance captain. And we started dancing and becoming dance partners in other events throughout the Valley and community. And before you know it, 2.5 years later, we're married, and we'll be married 33 years this September.
Now, the two of you ran a very popular and successful dance studio called Cannedy Center for the Performing Arts for 30 years. What were some of the highlights of that?
Bringing in many great talents to the dance studio and introducing them to the students and giving them the opportunity to work with such greats as Gregory Hines. He's a great tap dancer. That we both shared the same tap teacher in Las Vegas for many years. And he was such an inspiration to the students, along with his dance teacher, Henry Latang, who again, Stepan, my husband and I, and Gregory and Savion Glover took classes from up in Las Vegas. We also brought in Savion Glover, who at the time was traveling with Jelly's Last Jam, a musical that was being presented at Gamage. If anyone remembers Savion and grew up with Sesame Street, he was the little incredible African-American tap dancer there. And he was, I think, on Sesame Street till he was 15. He was a real inspiration to the kids to be able to meet him and take class from him. And Arthur Duncan. For those who remember the Lawrence Welk show and remember the African-American tap dancer there, he would come to our studio and do master classes, and he became a really just a personal friend of ours as well, and still is to this day. So it's been really nice to introduce not just tap teachers, but we had a lot of other choreographers come into the studio as well from LA, doing hip hop and ballet, all kinds of different dance genres.
Now, you recently sold the studio. Tell us about the new owners.
They are North Central residents as well. Rindy Combs is her name, and her husband is Lincoln Combs, who actually grew up in the North Central area. So they know the community quite well, and it was just a blessing to meet them and to have them become the new owners of the studio when we sold it. Rindy had a studio on the west side of town in Phoenix for 20 years. So moving over to the North Central area, it was really great to have the studio for her right down the street and be in the North Central and take over our legacy, so to speak.
You've been spending a lot of time in Prescott these last couple of years. Tell us about some of the shows you have choreographed at Prescott Center for the Arts.
The first one that we were involved with, my husband and I, was Fiddler on the Roof. And that was a cast of thousands, as I say, because there were a lot of people on the stage at one time. It was an incredible show. That was the first one that we actually did and was introduced to the family of Prescott Center for the Arts, which has just been a wonderful family to be involved with. And another show that we choreographed was Kiss Me, Kate. And that was a show for the teenagers' summer program that PCA does. And down on the far right side there is my husband, and he is working the choreography with the guys. It's always great to have him as part of the choreography crew, because sometimes we have to have, the male and the female side working at the same time, partnering or whatever. And so it really works great. And he's a real inspiration to all of the men and all the boys that are in the theater. And then we went into Guys and Dolls. And we went into helping with the Prescott Center for the Arts, the gala that they would have every year as a fundraiser. We did do Mary Poppins actually over at Yavapai College during the same time we were doing the gala here. We also did a couple of the children's shows, Madagascar and Winnie the Pooh. And those were wonderful shows to do for the kids. Actually, we were doing Anything Goes. That was our last big show musical that we did at Prescott Center for the Arts. And we had already choreographed and been ready to go for Willy Wonka, which was to open the week of March 15th. And the pandemic hit and it was shut down. So that show has not actually been performed yet.
Now you're currently sitting on the main stage at the Prescott Center for the Arts, which of course, like all theaters, had to close down during this pandemic, which delayed all the shows you were working on and were just ready to go. PCA was also in the middle of a capital campaign for a new theater, which is also on hold, but they've gotten very creative with some other ventures such as PCA Serves, and that's helping the community with volunteers going out to do everything from picking up prescriptions to delivering groceries. They also have PCA at Home, which was bringing videos from past shows for people to watch. They just had a ghost writing contest, and the finalists will be shown virtually in October. And then a really exciting project is PCA Cabaret Program. What can you tell us about that, Pam?
We're setting that up as a dinner theater situation. We don't know if it'll actually be dinner or maybe just appetizers and hors d'oeuvres at first, along with hopefully drinks for those that like to have their wine with their meal or their appetizers. The stage has been extended out about 10 feet. Also, all of the chairs, the stadium seating has been removed at this time so that platforms can be built. As soon as the permit is okayed by the city, they will start building out platforms to where the center of the audience area will have like 3 tables that will have hold maybe 2 to 4 people, and then on the sides they'll have a table on each side that'll hold 1 or 2 people, and a little VIP section down by the stage. It will all be socially distanced, and we're going to be ready to do like maybe 1-hour shows with 1 or 2 people so that we do not have a lot of people on stage. So that again, social distancing is important. And behind stage, then there won't need to be a whole lot of crew back there. There'll only need to be like a stage manager, 1 or 2 people. Robin Allen, who is the executive director of Prescott Center for the Arts, is really encouraging people to write their own shows. So like write a 1-hour cabaret show, be it like a monologue or a play or musical theater thing that 1 or 2 people can actually carry on a stage.
And under Robin Allen's leadership, it's really been great to see how creative they've been able to get during this challenging time. So Pam, how are you and your husband doing during this pandemic?
We've actually been doing fine. Even though we're not choreographing shows right now, it's presented extra time for us to actually write and to collaborate with a musical director here in the Prescott area to set up one of our own cabaret shows to present at Prescott Center for the Arts. So we're having fun doing that and still trying to work and be on the production committee for Prescott Center for the Arts and try to get things going as quickly as we possibly can.
And when I'm working with the students and I want to do something fun and yet kind of funky, I do a paradiddle. 4 syllables, 4 sounds to the step, and I add a funky twist to it as well. It goes something like this. Big spank, toe, heel. Big spank, toe, heel. The faster you get, the cooler it sounds. And then I go. is paradiddle with a funky twist.
Okay, how about a quick lightning round? Just a few word answers for what's your best time to create?
Actually, between 3 in the morning and 11 in the morning. I can get up at 3, have a big pot of coffee going, and I shut down about 11 a.m. I think I need a nap by then.
Who's your most inspirational person in your life?
You know, I will have to say it's my husband, because he's been my rock, he's been my support, and he's the one who always said, you can do this, and we can do this. So it would have to be Stefan, my husband.
What's the favorite part of your job?
Watching everyone grow from where they were to a higher level of confidence, of enjoyment for the arts, of knowledge of the arts, and sharing that talent that they have, and knowing that they have a talent that they can grow and develop with. And it's just awesome to watch people grow.
And with maybe a few more words, do you have any advice for young dancers and young creatives?
I would say, first of all, and we learned this from our friend Arthur Duncan, the word is stickability. If you really enjoy doing something and you're doing it and you love it, it's something that you should pursue. And you have the focus, have the dedication, and have just the fortitude to continue with what it is that you love to do. Continue to educate yourself and continue to make yourself better than you were the day before. But keep that stickability for anything.
Thank you so much, Pam, for being with us, and we'll keep everybody posted on the shows that are coming up at Prescott Center for the Arts, hopefully when everybody's be able to get back out and get going to the theater again.
You're welcome. Thank you, Laurie. This has been great, and good luck on the new project here.
Thank you. AZ Creates is sponsored by AZ Dance District, the newest dance and performing arts studio in Uptown Phoenix, offering ballet, jazz, tap, acrobatics, tumbling, hip-hop, lyrical, and contemporary dance classes for anyone ages 2 to adult. Their motto is technique, confidence, character. AZ Dance District also has performance and competition teams. Find out more about AZ Dance District on Facebook, Instagram, and at azdancedistrict.com. And when we come back, we'll hear some inspiring words from Lee Travathan's new book, Loved Beyond Compare. Don't go away. Welcome back to AZ Creates, a new web series to highlight creatives in Arizona, everyone from visual artists to dancers to musicians to actors, anyone working artistically in the state. One of our regular features will be to highlight an Arizona writer, and in all different genres, from poetry to romance to mystery and more. And today we have a writer with a very inspirational book called Loved Beyond Compare that is very appropriate for this very crazy time. Please welcome to AZ Creates, Lee Travathan of Queen Creek. Hey Lee, good to see you.
Hey Laurie, it's so good to see you today.
Thank you so much for being with us today. So you are a certified counseling practitioner and a business coach. You've been a mentor to creative people worldwide. You've done radio and television for years. You're a photographer. You do fiber art. Oh, I want everybody to know I am wearing a Lee Travathan original top. Thank you very much. Your own design. You've written a number of books on the subject of extraordinary thinking, which I highly recommend that people go and search those out as well. But you've written this new book called Loved Beyond Compare, which you describe as one that will open you up to who and what you truly are beyond the lies of the ego. Oh, now there's a great thought. Now, was this book started prior to the pandemic or because of it?
It was started before. I actually had not planned on writing any more books, but this just kept nagging me. It was literally waking me up in the middle of the night like, I got to write this book. And I wasn't sure why it was so urgent. And I wrote it, and I wasn't planning to put it out for a while. And the pandemic actually changed that format.
I see. So who would you say this book is written for?
I like to say that it's for people who are waking up. And what I mean by that is they are often people who have never really felt like they fit in the world. They felt different. They didn't understand the world very well. It seemed kind of toxic to them. And especially when the pandemic hit, the reason we released it early is because I knew it would comfort people. So when I say understand who and what you truly are, what I'm wanting people to understand is we're not just these ordinary beings walking around in these ordinary bodies in an ordinary world. We're so much more than that.
So how are you and your husband doing during this pandemic?
We're doing good. He flipped out at first. He was having a hard time with it. And like a day or two would go by and he goes, well, you think everything's gonna be okay by tomorrow or Thursday or by the weekend, everything will be back to normal, right? And I realized, no, we weren't going to do that. I had no issues with it because I work from home anyway. And if I'm not working, I like to be in my studio and I like to be creating. So I tend to do all of my work online anyway. And there were only a few classes I was doing, and Queen Creek shut down those classes. So those people just started working with me online. So it actually ended up, my business has actually moved forward in a way that it hasn't.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, we'd love it if you would read a short segment from Loved Beyond Compare.
You will never have a greater love affair than the love affair that you can have with that which created you. You are royalty of the highest order in all of creation. Yet most live like paupers lost in the wilderness of ordinary thought. Most will go through an entire life never knowing who and what they actually are. You may look at the royal family of England and think they are some of the luckiest people alive. But that kind of royalty is nothing in comparison to the royal heir that you are and all others are. You are a majestic creation born into a world of absolute abundance and love. You are so amazing that there are no words that could ever really describe you. Those words simply do not exist because you are so grand and born for greatness. I think if we ever came up with the word that honestly describes you, the whole world would shake when it was spoken. You are magnificent beyond anything you can imagine today, but that can change. The world that you see outside of you will literally bend to your will once you understand what you actually are beyond the lies of the ego. That's how powerful you are. That's how loved you are. Once you know and own your royal birthright, your whole day can be about miracles. You just have to be willing to see them. Awareness is the master key, and this book intends to open you to it. I have a friend that is a princess in the worldly sense. She came to my house to visit once after Thanksgiving dinner, and my nephew had attended. My nephew Joe was enamored with her. She's very beautiful and graceful, kind and loving. And she was getting ready to leave my home when Joe shyly told her that he had never met a real princess before. And I loved her comment to him. She grinned and said, "We are all princes and princesses, children of the most royal entity of all." I loved that. And it's so true. She understood her true identity beyond her earthly title.
Thank you so much. That's beautiful. And I love that whole royalty feel, that we are royalty, and we have to believe that. So you can find Lee's book on Amazon and at her website, www.leetravathan.com, and we'll have the links in the show notes here as well. Thank you so much, Lee. Great to see you.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely, and we'll be right back. AZ Creates is sponsored by the Santan Sun News, a twice-monthly community publication with a circulation of more than 35,000 serving the residents of Southern Chandler. Owned and operated by the Times Media Group, the Santan Sun News includes relentlessly local coverage of community, business, arts, youth, and much more news and information. Read it online at www.santansun.com. Upcoming events are next. Stay with us. And we introduce to you an upcoming events segment we're calling Something to Look Forward to. My longtime Chandler friend and neighbor, Cathy Beard, is a graphic artist who also created all the wonderful AZ Creates logos, and she's an audiobook narrator as well. Cathy, what have you found that's something to look forward to?
Thanks, Laurie. We have a number of items from around the state. If you'd like to have your event information considered, we'll tell you how at the end of the segment. With stage productions canceled and theaters closed due to the coronavirus, many are going online. Fountain Hills Theater is bringing back its free and live Broadway Quarantine Cabaret on YouTube and Facebook, featuring musical guests around the valley from their living rooms. It's every Saturday night at 7:30. In addition, Fountain Hills Theater opens an outdoor drive-in theater called Broadway Jukebox on September 18. For details, visit www.fhtaz.org. If you need a good laugh during these COVID days, check out the weekly Improv Mania on Friday evenings at 7 p.m. on Facebook Live at Improv Mania Comedy. Go to their Facebook page to like it in order to see their live comedy show. Improv Mania got its start at the former Art on Boston Gallery, and now Dave and Colleen Specht have their own building in downtown Chandler. They also launched a GoFundMe page where you can help them during this COVID-19 closure time, or you can purchase a ticket to help them with a donation. For more information, go to www.improvmania.net. The Peregrine Book Company in Prescott is reopening their sales floor Monday through Friday from 12 to 6 and Saturday 10 to 4. Masks and social distancing will be required, and up to 25 people may be in the store. Peregrine will also continue shopping by appointment, with internet and phone orders and curbside pickup. For details, visit www.peregrinebookcompany.com. The Sonoran Desert Chorale will hold their concerts virtually this season, and for free. The 60 vocalists, based in Mesa, will perform 4 concerts, combined from a new virtual repertoire and recorded materials from previous live concerts. Sign up at the website for email reminders and consider making a donation at www.sonorandesertchorale.org. The 3rd annual Mask Alive Festival of Masks will be held virtually by Cultural Coalition, Inc., starting at 2 p.m. Sunday, September 13, and streaming on Facebook, IGTV, and YouTube Live. Arizona's premier mask maker, Zarco Guerrero of Mesa, will be featured along with dance, music, and theater, highlighting the cultural diversity of the Southwest. All ages will enjoy giant puppets, performance art, and cultural dance troupes. New this year is a COVID mask design contest, with the winner getting the most likes on Facebook at Cultural Coalition, Inc. For more, visit www.culturalcoalition.com. You can help support local artists and bring some beauty into your world. Check out the Creative Connections Fine Art Fall 2020 online auction, which runs September 20th through 27th. Art purchases will benefit the nonprofit World Central Kitchen to feed those in need due to COVID-19, as well as the artists themselves. Register today to be ready to bid on art or gift certificates by visiting www.creativeconnectionsfineart.com. If you have an event you'd like to have considered for AZ Creates, please send us all of your information in an email to AZCreates.ArtOnlineAZ@gmail.com. And that's something to look forward to.
Thanks, Cathy. AZ Creates highlights Prescott Center for the Arts, north of Phoenix. After canceling stage shows due to the pandemic, PCA started PCA Serves, assisting members of the community. PCA at Home, a virtual entertaining and community art connection. And PCA Cabaret, coming soon to transform the main stage into a cabaret setting with tables, appropriate social distancing, and food and beverage options. Other projects going virtual include the Ghost Talk in October, the recent Young Playwrights Festival, Youth Scholarship Competition, and more. To make a donation or for more information, visit www.pca-az.net. So this is the time that we close AZ Creates with a thought or a quote of the week as we thank you for joining us today. So on the bright side, I am no longer calling it shelter in place. I'm calling it artist in residence. Thanks again so much for watching AZ Creates. Please subscribe to the channel below and give us a thumbs up or let us know how we're doing. On the next show, we'll introduce you to Nancy Bryman, a fantastic painter and mixed media artist in our Creative Connection. And in our What Are You Reading, will introduce you to Al Kiwis, who will bring you some of the books that he's been working on. So whether you're an arts patron or an artist, and whether you're baking bread or reading a book or playing a brain game, please stay healthy and safe and stay creative. See you next time.